Hey kiddos, Dad here, and I wanted to share how I was able to retire at 27 years old and how I more so accidentally fell into retirement rather than planning it. One of the big things that I've just kind of learned through this process is that there's no straight line to where you want to go. And, you know, compared to my dad, your grandfather, um, you know, he knew he wanted to be a chef his whole life since he was a kid. Me, I've changed course so many times, uh, and that's why I say like I accidentally retired because it wasn't really my plan to retire. I wanted to at a certain point, but I never set out with the goal of I'm going to retire by this age. But there were some decisions that I made throughout my life that allowed me to be able to accidentally retire, and that's what I want to share in this video. So of course I've got some notes to try to help keep me on track, but the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is um, things on managing finances, so some financial tips, some financial things that I did, life hack. I'm going to be talking about side hustles or businesses, passive income, real estate, a big concept called your COL or cost of living, and um, global arbitrage. So, starting off with um, the first thing, even before I get into the finances, is that, like I was saying, in life there's a bunch of different um, directions that you could be going. But I would say one of the most important things is actually just picking a direction and going with it. For example, when I was 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was a waiter. I started off as like a busser at this country club, and then I eventually became a waiter. And I did all the different steps. Like I was a busser, and then I was a food runner, and then I was a waiter at the pool area, and then was waiting fine dining. So that was like a progress for me. There was direction, clear steps, and I knew that I wanted to become a waiter, so I went that way. But when I was about to graduate high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I didn't want to do something that didn't feel right. And going to school and becoming an accountant or, um, you know, nothing really interested me. It wasn't until that my Uncle Vinny, said, "Hey, why don't you join the Army National Guard and or join the Army Reserves?" And I never thought about the military. No recruiters ever talked to me or anything. But when he said that, I was just curious. So I went, I talked to an Army recruiter. I scored terribly on the ASVAB. I got a 30. And then he said, well, your score's pretty bad, but, if you want to drive tanks. And I was like, man, I really don't, I don't want to spend the rest of my life driving or drive tanks for the army and just accept that I'm not like smart enough for any other jobs. So then I started looking into other jobs in the military because he told me all the benefits, and I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefits. Again, I didn't think too deep into it, but when I was looking at the jobs in the military, I was just like, man, this sounds a lot more interesting than going and being an accountant or traditional thing. And I ended up choosing the Coast Guard, and at first I wanted to become a helicopter rescue swimmer. So I wanted to be the guy that was jumping out of the helicopters and saving people's lives. And that motivated me to start working out and start training and learning how to swim. I didn't know how to swim before. Wasn't I was going to the gym a little bit, but nothing too serious. And never meditated, never worked on my mental health. So this gave me a direction, gave me clarity, and I spent about a year and a half, really, about 2 years, because I started when I was still in high school. But I really started to work on this direction of becoming a rescue swimmer. And so I would say that's the first most important lesson of how I was able to retire early is just picking a direction and then going with it, because a lot of people in your life, your friends, other people that you'll see, they really don't have a clear direction, or they think that they might have a direction, but they don't take action on it either. So making sure that you're not just listening to somebody else's advice. Like if I just, followed somebody's advice and went to college, or if I just followed the Army recruiter's advice and, became a tank driver, I wouldn't have experienced all of these different things that I needed to in order to get to where I am today. So there is no clear pinpoint, but as long as you know the direction. So, one of the first things is managing finances. So once you have direction, learning how to be able to manage your finances. So one of the first steps with managing your finances is this thing called the COL, cost of living. So your cost of living, this is just how much you're spending every month. So your housing, your transportation, food, entertainment, all of these things add up, and that is your cost of living, your COL. So the goal through this whole way to become financially free, retired, is to keep your cost of living lower than your income. Now, if you are working a job, hopefully your income is above your cost of living. If not, then you're living on debt. So the goal is keep low cost of living and increase your income. And then if you want to fully retire, where you're not having to work, is where you'd have enough passive income or enough money coming in through different means that it covers your cost of living, and then you can do what you want. And that's how I kind of accidentally, fell into that, which I'll get into in a little bit. So with your cost of living, it breaks down into a few different components. First is going to be your housing, like I said. Now with housing, one of the things that I did was I always found a roommate. So it didn't matter where I was living. As when I first joined the military, my first duty station, I was in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I found a guy, I think on Craigslist, and I lived in his house. I paid $400 a month, and I think, the military, the rent and the average rent in that area was like $800 a month or something. So I was able to save like $400 a month, and I kept that money. But even when I moved to when I was in St. Pete, when your mom and I started living together, we got a roommate. So we had a guy that was we found a lease, and we were able to work with the landlord and say, hey, can we rent out one of the rooms for a roommate? He said yes. So you're either moving into somebody's place as a roommate of their place, or you get a place of your own, a rental, and then you find a roommate there. And that cuts down on your cost of living expenses quite a lot. Now the second is going to be transportation. So one of the things that you are going to want to do for your transportation is always buy second hand. You can buy new, but it depends on your credit and the type of car that you're going to be getting. But always buying second hand is going to save you a lot of money. If you can buy cash, buy cash. If you buy from a dealership, again, it's one of these things where the newer and more expensive the thing is, every year there's going to be new cars, new phones, new everything, but you don't need that. As long as the car is working, if you can get an inspection on it, have a friend, a mechanic, come with you if you're if you're not able to get it inspected right away, have them check it to run a check and make sure that everything's good. But if you can save money on a car by getting it secondhand and drive it as much as you can. Even now, I'm 30 years old. I'm living in we're living in Colombia now, but we bought a car in the U.S. It was just recently. It was my Aunt Lil's car, which you guys will hopefully get to meet when you guys get a little bit older and know who she is. But yeah, we bought a car from her, and it was a Subaru 2000. I think it's a 2011 Subaru or 2007. I can't remember. But old Subaru Outback or hatchback, and it's got over 100,000 miles on it. But it works really well. It's got new tires, and I think I paid like 3 grand cash. And it's just one of those cars where whenever we come back to the US, we always have a car that we can drive, we can, that we're able to keep you guys safe in. And we don't have to rent a car whenever we go back to the US. So we always have a car there, and we pay for the insurance. It's like $50 a month, and it's not bad. So we have a car. If you're going to be getting a car, do that. Next is going to be food. So with food, you're going to want to meal prep as much as possible. I started meal prepping because I was training, like I said, to become a rescue swimmer. My dad, your grandpa who's not here anymore, was a chef, and he was teaching me, like, how do I meal prep? How do I make good tasting food that's not just chicken, rice, and eggs, and potatoes, which are really good staples. Chicken, rice, potatoes, beef. There's a bunch of ways that you can get creative with that, but meal prepping is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money, being able to buy in bulk. The next is going to be cut the crap. So cut everything out of your life that is crap. Things like soda, candies, chips, snacks, things that you really just don't need. Vaping. Luckily for you, that's not something that you get in your life, because we don't have those things in the house. But when you become an adult and you're living on your own, don't have those in your house. It's just not going to be not good for you, and it costs a lot of money. Next is going to be secondhand buys. So you don't need the latest generation. So the phones, for example. I think this phone that I've been using just up until recently, it's from 2018 or 19. It's the Samsung S9, I think, S9. And I just started having some issues with the internet connection, so now I upgraded to the Samsung S10. And it's 2000. This phone it's like 4 years old or something. The one that I'm using right now for recording this, and I don't plan on getting a new phone until I really need to, just because you can get secondhand things online, and they work really well. That's how I've been able to save a lot of money, is I'm just not always getting the latest and greatest gadget. So computers, phones, gaming consoles, all of these things. I use this website, maybe it's still around on here, called Swappa. It's a website where you can basically buy things secondhand. eBay, I have professional cameras and stuff like that. I was able to get them a lot cheaper on eBay. People reselling stuff. So do secondhand buys. And then also Marketplace. So Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. I used to use Craigslist. These are places where you can find things for sale by people that are just typically local to you. And you drive, you go pick it up, and it's a lot cheaper because people just want to get rid of it. And you're also able to negotiate with them. So if somebody's asking, let's say a stroller for $100, you can be like, hey, I'll buy it cash right now today for $70, and maybe they take it, maybe not. Worst they can say is screw you, and that's too little. But sometimes people just want to let things go because they are tired of holding it. So people just want the cash. So I've had a lot of success with just buying things on Marketplace, and then we also resell things on Marketplace. That's the other. It's like whenever we have something that we want to get rid of, Marketplace, sell it online. Maybe somebody will come pick it up. And then also in financial is going to be your credit score. So I was really lucky. My mom, she taught me at a young age about credit and interest rates. I think I was maybe 9 years old, and my mom brought me to a bank and taught me about opening up a CD or certificate deposit, and I had like a really low % interest rate if I locked my cash in there. And so I started learning about the power of interest rates and compounding interest. And then when I was 18, I was able to open my first credit card. Now my credit's better than my mom's. My mom's not super credit savvy, but she knew enough to get me started. But having a really good credit score is very important, because that's going to allow you to be able to, if you decide to get a car and you're using financing, low interest rate, if you have good credit, really good credit, 780, 800 plus, then you'll be able to get a low interest rate on a car. House loan, when we got our mortgage, we were able to get a really good interest rate because of our good credit. And again, all of these things lower your COL, your cost of living. Just some real quick credit rules that I've written down here. If you have good credit, you can get lower payments on basically everything. If you do have a payment, higher scores can give you better rates. Always pay with a credit card. Don't use debit cards. There's a worm on my phone. Always pay with a credit card, because it'll give you protections, unlike a debit card, where debit will just take it directly from your bank. Credit, at least you have protections with that, safeguard you from like theft. And then it also has like insurances and stuff. So pay for it in full and set up auto pay. So always pay off your card in full. Never pay the minimum balance, because you don't want to pay the interest on that card, which are going to be high. And use auto pay so you don't forget and miss a payment. That's going to be the worst thing that will hurt your credit. I'm going to be, I've kind of coined this, or I have this thing that I've been thinking about called generational credit. So because my credit's really good, I've got a lot of credit cards and credit age on those cards. I can add you guys as authorized buyers, so you'll automatically have good credit age, higher credit limits on your credit report. But you guys can screw it up if you miss your payments. So don't screw it up. Keep the generational credit intact, so that way when you have your kids, you'll be able to add them on, teach them good credit, and then they'll have really strong credit from the get-go. And you just have to teach them, pay your credit cards in full, don't pay the interest, and never miss payment. So, and then use a cashback 2% card if you can. It's easy. You don't have to think about it. Citi Custom Cash, the SoFi World Elite is what I'm using right now. It's like 2.3% back. There's some other cashback cards, and you can play the cashback game, use the different categories, top spend, get 5%, 6%, all this stuff. But if you just want to keep it simple, 2% cashback on everything. Make your life easy. If you're not going to play the credit game, that's a simple one. Next is going to be a life hack. This was my path. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but did a mosquito bite me? Oh my goodness! I think a mosquito just bit me. All right. So I'm not gonna say that you have to do this, but this is a life hack, and that's joining the military. Again, I don't want to pressure you guys into joining, but it does have a lot of benefits, and I'm going to talk about them here and how it'll help you out in your life, like it's helped me. All right, so the first thing is going to be, and also if you don't join, I'm going to include some tips on how you can still get some of these benefits, but they're just going to have to get changed slightly. So the first is going to be you're going to gain a lot of life experience. So when I was 18, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do, where I was going, and I tried a bunch of different things. Had I just gone to college and done one specific path thinking that that's what I needed to do, I would have felt obligated to continue doing that thing. I would have felt guilt around spending all this money and changing. Maybe I'd be doing a job that I didn't want to be doing. So I feel like the military was really good about giving me the time and the space and the experience in life to try a bunch of different things. So for example, I wanted to become a doctor when I was a kid, and then I wanted to become a rescue swimmer, and then I wanted to become a marine biologist, and then and then I wanted to get into software development. Then I wanted to get into cybersecurity, and then I wanted to become an officer. And it's like all these things, and then, in just a few years, I was retired. How? You might be asking. When it was like Julian has no clear direction, like somebody might be looking and say like, how did he end up achieving this thing when he was just like all over the place? And again, it was just because like I made some good moves, but we're building off of that foundation, and giving yourself that time and life experience is a part of that journey towards being able to achieve early retirement. But yeah, trying different things, having different bosses, like all of these things are going to impact who I worked for, impacted what what type of jobs I'd want to do. Just being in the Coast Guard and talking to seeing different people and their jobs in the Coast Guard, I figured out what jobs do I want to do or not want to do, who I wanted to work for, what type of directions I could take while I was in the Coast Guard. All of these things happened because I was gaining more experience, traveling to new locations. A lot of people you'll see spend their whole lives in one place. There's people in the military that they try to, get their entire lives just to be in one geographical area. Where for me it was, I was in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I was in St. Pete, Florida. I was in California. I was in North Carolina. I've lived in Connecticut. Japan. So all these different locations, now Colombia. And it's because of that I was able to be comfortable with new places and new things. The next is going to be creating mental stability. So when you have like a stable job, like let's say if you're in the military, you don't have to worry about your job getting pulled from you. I know a lot of people right now, as of the time I'm recording this video, there's the Doge and a bunch of government contractors are getting let go. Federal employees are getting let go. They didn't have the security, and even though they had believe that they had a lot of security, it was just things like that changed. Even in the military, something could potentially change, but there is a lot of stability with the military that it gives you. Having that mental stability gives you the freedom to be able to take risks while you're in the service. And what I mean by risks is if you are going to take a financial risk, a time risk, just knowing that you have that there always gave a lot of peace, that like you can keep going. Things will always be okay. You'll always have the next paycheck. In the military, we have this saying called choose your rate, choose your fate, or in the Coast Guard, I think in the Navy also, choose your rate, choose your fate. What that basically means is when you choose a specific job, that job is going to come with different responsibilities. So, for example, if you decide to become a boat driver, a boatswain's mate, you're going to be dealing with a specific side of the Coast Guard and specific types of people that work in that environment. Your job, your time, your skills, everything is going to be kind of pigeonholed into that area, which that is your fate. So if you're, what you should be thinking about when you are choosing your job is, your interest. Are you interested in the thing? How does that affect your time? And how can you leverage that skill, that job? Now this can also change. So, for example, I was interested in getting into cybersecurity, so I ended up in DC doing cybersecurity. So I was fortunate that I was able to go where I wanted to do. Ended up doing that job, and I realized I'm not interested. I'm not interested in doing cybersecurity and IT work. That's what I wanted to do, so I did it. But I wasn't interested in that. But the job, because it was IT work, the benefit of that was that it gave a lot of time and leverage. So I had a lot of time on my hands to be able to create. So I started creating podcasts and doing all these different side hustles and trying all these different things because I had the time. Because of my job, it was stable in a good location in the DC area. That gave me that ability, that freedom to be able to do that. And then because I had a lot of leverage, when I did leave the military, I also had the option of getting another six-figure job. I was getting offered 120, 130, 150,000 for these jobs, even though I didn't necessarily care what I was doing. It was because I had the experience by that point, being military, having a top secret clearance, working cybersecurity, working IT, that I was highly valuable. It's just my interest wasn't there, so I didn't pursue that direction. But if you do have an interest and you are able to maximize your time and use that as leverage, that's what it means by choose your rate, choose your fate. So next is going to be maximizing benefits while in the military. So again, we're still on joining the military. So maximizing benefits. When I was talking about your cost of living, that's where the military is really good, because you can maximize your lifestyle while also keeping your cost of living low. So some ways that you can do that: discounts. So you get discounts on basically everything being in the military. Phone plans, purchasing a car, they'll typically give you credit. Restaurants, stores, home internet, services, events. There's a bunch of different things that when you're in the military or as a veteran, after you separate, that you get these discounts for. The credit card fee waiver. So one of the things is one of the benefits of being active duty is that you get your credit card fees typically waived. So like the Amex Platinum, it's like $700 a month. And when I was in the service, I was getting that completely paid for. And the benefits that you get from it, they give you like credits that you can use for different things, and you save a lot of money. And it also increases the quality of your life, so you can enjoy these things, and it's free, and you get basically money for free. And you can stack those too, which is really nice. So you can do it multiple times. That's a little one though, and it's just I like credit cards and stuff, so I wanted to tell you about that one. Tuition assistance. That's what I did to be able to get my associate's degree. And it's money from the government to go to college, even if so you don't have to use your GI Bill, which is really nice. And they give, typically it's like $4,000 a year to go to college. And you can do this all while you're active. As soon as you join, and again, choose your rate, choose your fate, because if you end up on a boat or you end up doing a different service and you're overseas and you're not able to spend that time, it makes it more difficult. So tuition assistance, you can get, I think people are getting like their master's degree with tuition assistance. Higher education. So higher education. So the military offers lots of opportunities to advance your education with obligated service. So for example, when I joined the Coast Guard, I was young enough where I could have joined and enrolled into the Coast Guard Academy. So I could have gone from active duty to the Coast Guard Academy. I could have, there was opportunities when I was in doing my IT job in the DC area where I could go to college. So I'd do 4 years at a university while getting paid by the military. And then I would come back and I would be doing a specific job related to the thing that I was studying. So there's higher education opportunities there while you're in the service. Leveling up skills. So if you wanted to become like a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, there's a pilot, there's a bunch of job and education opportunities while you're in the service to be able to level up your skills in that way. IT, lots of cybersecurity, leveling up opportunities. Um, Another is going to be, yeah, and in that case, I just want to say it's a win-win-win, because when you're in the military, you're getting paid for higher education, and then you're gaining the experience. So it's a win-win-win. Next is going to be using one of the benefits while you're in service is TSP, or Thrift Savings Plan. You want to be able to contribute at least minimum the matching contribution, which is 5%. But you can invest you can invest however much you want into what's called the Roth 401k, the Roth TSP. So it's a Roth 401k. It's TSP Roth, and that's going to be where you put in your money, after tax money, into the Roth, and it grows tax free. So any of the gains that you make are tax free. And for some time while I was in the service, I was just dumping as much money as I could into that, and I was able to grow a substantial amount. And that growth that happened in there was all tax free. So really good opportunity. And then when you get out, if you decide not to stay, then what you can do is you can roll that over into a self-directed Roth IRA. So you're basically able to, because with the Roth IRA, you can only contribute a certain amount per year, but if you do a rollover from your TSP, you could basically skip those yearly limits. So you basically just fund everything while you're in service if you can, and then when you get out, you can self-direct that. That way you have more control over it. So little hack there. VA home loan. This is a really powerful benefit. It's basically a government-backed loan that you get when you're in the military, and you can use it multiple times. It just has to be your primary residence, but your primary residence can also change multiple times, so you can use it multiple times. And it allows you to be able to purchase a home with no money down, and you don't pay any mortgage insurance. So it's a really powerful way. That's how we bought our house in the DC area, using that loan. And you get it for the rest of your life, even when you separate and you're a veteran. Next is going to be, if you decide to get out, this thing called temporary separation, or TempSep. So this lets you leave the military with your current rank. So I left the military as a E5, and I could come back in because I did the TempSep program after I had 3 years. So I'm past the time now. I can't join and keep my rank anymore. But I did that program, so I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So in case I wanted to come back in for whatever reason, if my retirement plans didn't work out, I could just easily get back in and pick up basically where I left off. So that's a good program that you have to apply for. SkillBridge is a really good program. It lets you use the last 6 months before the end of your contract to join the military, last 6 months of your contract in the military to join somebody else's job, basically as an intern. So you can intern there, and you get paid by the military to work at another company. So you basically, if you're good at networking and you've built up these relationships, you can basically guarantee yourself a job using the SkillBridge program. The GI Bill. So when you separate, you can technically use it while you're in service. Most people use it after service, but you get this thing called the GI Bill, and you'll learn a lot about it, but it basically pays for your college. So you can get up to, typically it's like a degree. So if you got your associates or your bachelor's while you're in, you can get your master's. If you got your master's, you could get your doctorate. Or you could even use it for something like getting your pilot's license, or there's other fun things, like you can become like a mountaineer, certified scuba diver, underwater welder, whatever you want it to do, and the GI Bill will typically allow you to pay for that. Next is going to be VA healthcare. So while you're in service, you want to maximize your VA healthcare. So you're probably going to have terrible eyes. Your mom and I don't have good vision, but now I don't need glasses because the military paid for PRK. They paid for smile surgery. So that was something that was completely paid for by the military. It's kind of like LASIK. And A tooth. I have a daddy has a replacement tooth, and yeah, military while I was in service paid for that. Um, and then also when you get out of the military, if you do have things documented, and they're service connected, you can also get your healthcare taken care of that way. So, which kind of goes on to the next one, which is VA disability. So, don't sleep on VA disability. Um, I served for 9 years, and it wasn't until probably the last like 4 years, 3 years when I was in the service that a mentor of mine said, "Hey," he said, he basically told me the same thing. He said, "Hey, don't sleep on VA disability. Just because you think that you're okay, you want to make sure that you have these things documented, because the thing about VA disability is that it's service connected. So as long as you're documenting while you're in service, as when you get older, if things change, or maybe you document things and it shows up, then it'll always be service connected. And then when you get older, something happens, you'll always have that medically taken care of, and even financially taken care of. So, for example, I started snoring a lot, and your mom said that I was snoring way too much, so I should go get that checked out. And I went to the military doctor. They said, yeah, you don't have sleep apnea. And I was like, well, I just want to check because that's one of the conditions of sleep apnea is like you're snoring a lot. And they said, no, you're too skinny. You're too skinny and you're too young. You shouldn't have sleep apnea. And then I had to go back to them and I had to say, listen, I want to go get checked for this. This is just something that, please give me a referral. And they gave me a referral. I ended up getting sleep apnea, having sleep apnea, getting that condition, and that's an automatic 50% disability. So just sleep apnea alone is 50% disability. The way that disability works in the military is really weird, like how they rank everything. So 50%, that's $1,000. Right now it's like $1,000 a month for the rest of my life, just because of that one service-connected disability. So, and if you have other things that you document, that changes the percentage amount that you receive. But that's just to kind of give you an example of how it works. And when you get 50%, the VA also covers your healthcare for everything. So I don't need to get health insurance because the VA will cover all of my health needs in the U.S. So, or overseas, as long as I go to a VA medical facility. So, really, really great benefit. That'll save you also thousands a year. You're covered for your healthcare. And then the last of the benefit of the military is the community. So it's just always nice to have, knowing that there's, a community out there that can help you in case you need it. If I need to talk to somebody about finances, if something happened and we end up homeless for whatever reason, there's support, tools, things like that you don't get just as a civilian. So you're a veteran for life, which is really nice. So now I wanted to talk about, if you don't join the military, how you can still get a lot of different benefits. Some different ways. So discounts, things like if you're a student, using like a student email, you can get a lot of discounts for like software subscriptions, stuff like that. If you get into law enforcement or first responders, stuff like that, they typically have discounts, and part of their community, they'll share different types of discounts and things like that you can utilize. Tuition assistance, you can find different jobs that will pay for your school. I know this is really popular in IT related jobs, like they'll pay for certifications. Some jobs will pay for college, for you to go to school, and they give you a certain amount per year. 401ks, so many, lots of jobs have employer matching, so just be aware of jobs that do basically give you free money if you contribute to a 401k. And you can, have your Roth 401k as well. FHA loan, so if you don't have the VA loan, you can use what's called the FHA loan. It's another government-backed loan for first-time home buyers, and you pay like 3.5%. interest down. You still have to pay mortgage insurance, but it's affordable. It's more affordable if you don't have the 20% down. And by the time that you guys are old enough to be buying properties, I don't know, maybe the minimum price of the home is going to be like $1 million. So unless you have like $200,000, it's going to be hard. So a VA loan or the FHA loan, those are going to be good options for you. And then healthcare. If you retire or if you separate, if you don't retire from the military, if you separate, if you don't have the VA healthcare, some affordable options for healthcare. It's called Christian Healthcare Ministries. From when I was transitioning out, I was looking at different healthcare options because I was not sure like how much I was going to be getting disability wise, and if going to be covered for that. So started looking and found and signed up for this thing called Christian Healthcare Ministries, and it was like it's relatively affordable. I think it's like $100 per month per person, and it covers you in case of something happening and you need to go see a doctor, and they have different things. So good affordable option. All right, so next we're going to be going on to so if you join the military, great. If not, I understand, different choices in life. It's not for everybody. Maybe it's a medical thing. Maybe something happens where you're not able to because medically, the military's tough with medical disqualifications. And that's also another thing that I just want to quickly mention, in case I get hit by a bus or something today and I'm not able to share it. I know right now a lot of people are, and this is going to be kind of controversial. At least it's controversial in today. Documenting everybody is going to the doctor and getting depression, anxiety, different types of conditions, ADHD, all of these things. The thing about the military is that, and I know that they're also giving more waivers now in the military, I believe, just because they're having issues with recruiting, but still, it's I don't if you go into the military and you're going to be getting and if you've had a bunch of things documented, it makes it more difficult to join. So keep that in mind, that when you're growing up, if you're feeling lonely and if you're feeling anxiety, doctors will very easily just give you medication and connect you with a psychotherapist. But if you can just allow yourself to have these emotions when you're young, I was very anxious. I was very lonely, very depressed when I was a kid. Didn't feel like I fit in. If I went to a doctor, if it was now and I felt like all my friends were going to doctors and getting meds, maybe I would have thought I should go get meds. I didn't, and now as an adult, it's like you start to learn different healthier alternatives that don't require a doctor to prescribe you, because as soon as a doctor prescribes you and that's on your medical record, that's permanent. Your medical record follows you. So just want you to keep in mind, I don't want you to not take care of yourself. Definitely not saying that, but I just want you to know that what is on your medical record follows you everywhere, and that can impact if you want to pursue different things like joining the CIA, the FBI, police work, owning a gun, joining the military. All of these things, they look at that, and life insurance as well. Life insurance looks at your medical record. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying not. It's just be mindful of things that are more popular now or more popular in your time. Next is going to be starting a side hustle or business. So the important thing here is try things that interest you. I tried so many things. I did mobile home investing, crypto investing. I got my real estate license. I sold a property, ebooks, podcasts, created ebooks, created podcasts, created YouTube channels, purchased real estate, developed an app. I did all these different things while I was in service, while I was working, um, because I wanted to try. I wanted to see what it would lead to. I always had very high expectations, and then I would do it, and I'd see like, what do I like, what do I dislike, and that gave me a lot of well-rounded experience, and a lot of confidence. So if you can develop your skills and develop your confidence with side hustles, and also increase your income, that's great. Um, don't expect a side hustle to retire you. Don't expect that. Like I started an app. I spent $20,000 when it was like one of my first projects. Hired developers, and fully expecting that I was going to become like a Airbnb type startup founder, and just ended up giving a lot of money to developers in India, and a lot of a lot of time and energy and stress to learn, like, hey, this is not the direction that I should go, because I didn't know how to grow an app. But you listen to podcasts and you listen to all these things, and they're like, oh, you're going to become a millionaire if you do this thing, or I started 17 different apps, and now I'm a billionaire. Just don't expect it. Look at it like you want to try this thing, you're interested because that's what you want to do, and if it doesn't work out, don't beat yourself up. Part of the journey is a bunch of little failures that end up building you to where the next thing that you do, you've learned and you've grown. It's like an artist of life in business. Next is building reoccurring passive income. So, you can definitely look at recurring passive income as part of your retirement plan. And what I mean by is like if you're doing a side hustle, and you have like ebook, or you have a YouTube channel, or you're doing affiliate marketing, whatever it is, you can be making money, and you can count that as part of your income, but also just don't depend on it. Try to have like stable income. Like if you've been making this for quite a while, and the more stable it is, the better. So like if you for example, I talked a lot about softwares on one of my YouTube channels, and was making recurring money through software affiliate marketing. That's pretty stable, but if you don't have a lot, it can also drop, and if you depend on that can affect you. So, so I really enjoy content and affiliate marketing. Those are what works for me. You could do a blog. I like making YouTube videos, and then affiliate marketing works really well for me, because I can just talk about things that I'm interested in and make content around it, and then when people click on those links because they're interested, that's how I'm able to also make money from those things. Just know that the leverage of this is really powerful as well. If you learn how to be able to make content, whether that's videos, blogs, TikToks, whatever it is, at your time. If you can grow that, and you can get a lot of people interested in clicking on your links and using the products that you talk about, it can make substantial income. Like if you find a place, or if you have a few clicks on, let's say, a software that pays a 25-40% commission, you can very quickly, with just a few people clicking on those links and you using the products, get to 300 a month, 500 a month, 1,000 a month. And that's what people are making with real estate typically, is like 300 a month, 500 a month. They might not make like a lot of money. Maybe it's just break even. Maybe they lose money on real estate. So with content and affiliate marketing, it's a very convenient way for you to be able to increase your income without increasing your spend. Next is going to be buying a property. So you want to buy a property as an investment and a house hack. So real estate can be great if you find the right property. So what do I mean by that? Like a property that you can split, where the let's say for our property in the DC area. We rent out the top portion of the house, and then we renovated the basement, put in a kitchenette, has a separate entrance. It's basically a studio, and the top tenant basically pays for the mortgage and utilities, and then the bottom tenant gives us that income. So we're able to cash flow like $2,500 a month from that property. So it's a really powerful strategy. Another way that you could do it is you could find, let's say, a 4-bedroom, and then you just split it. Let's say do 2 and 2. A lot of people like to do multifamily investing. If you can find like a multifamily apartment, you can use the VA loan, get a multifamily, live in one, rent out the other 2, 3, however many. That's also a really powerful strategy. You could also do like taking a 4-bedroom, like a bigger property, and then splitting the bedrooms and do individual units. But just know that the cheaper your rent, the more headaches that you're going to be taking on. So if you can, limit the amount of people living in the property by splitting it, and if you can, have a higher rent. Just makes your life easier, because you get to a certain point and the types of people that you're going to be getting in will cause you more headaches with the property. So just be mindful. I know a lot of people, or some people like to do cheaper places, cheap rents, and you get cheap problems with that. Yeah, and you typically want to try to make 2 to 3 times whatever your mortgage is. That's how I was saying. Like, you find a place for $2,000 a month mortgage, for example, and then you know, rent out the top, rent out the bottom. Top pays for the mortgage, bottom is the income. If you can make anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month profit, that's the ideal range. And you can also do that by furnishing. So you know, we furnished the basement, and then we got in traveling nurses. So a furnished place, typically people are spending more. And we'd also do like monthly rentals, so they stay for longer, they pay more. So it works for us. Next is going to be calculate your cost of living and income. So I'm gonna give you guys in the description of this video this calculator. It's free. Of course, it's free for my kids, and if you're watching this video, you guys can have it also. And basically, it's what I used when I got out of the military. I was really anxious about leaving. I was really anxious, but when I used this calculator, I looked at the numbers. I said, okay, what's my cost of living? What's my income? What are the different scenarios? And then I was just able to do the math, and I saw it. I saw the numbers, and I was like, man, if we move out of our place, if we move to Colombia, we will be saving thousands of dollars a month. So that's what we did. Because when I was in the situation and I was getting out, I was like, man, we're going to have health insurance. We're going to have, you know, we're going to still have to pay for the mortgage. We're going to have all these things. But, you know, when we did the math and we looked at the different scenarios, we said, okay, it makes more sense to leave the house, rent it out. That way we can retire. So yeah, calculate your cost of living for different scenarios, and that'll give you an informed decision. And then the last thing here is moving to a low cost of living country. So we moved to Colombia, South America, initially in Bogota, because we've got family there. So, you know, you've got family there, and then, you know, we just recently moved to Medellin. But Colombia, it's like half the price of living in the U.S. or more. You know, can be like a third of the cost, or a quarter of the cost, I mean. And yeah, your money can go a long way. So that's what I was saying is like geo arbitrage. You know, if you can live Vietnam, Thailand, even Japan right now is very affordable, and that's where we're trying to get to next. You know, so we could be with family there. If you can do that, it makes sense, do it. Especially if remote work is more popular, or still something that's growing, and more remote options. You can also use that as a transition. Maybe your income isn't enough to cover the cost of living in, let's say, Colombia, for example. you can work a part-time job in the U.S. and make that type of money. You really only need a little bit of money online, or a little bit of money from real estate, a little bit of money from um, whatever, and you can live comfortably in another country. So that's that geo arbitrage opportunity. So that was a lot. I thought a lot about this. Just wanted to make sure that I covered what I felt like was everything. If you do want to retire early, and like I said, it was not a clear-cut direction. I wasn't 18 and said I want to retire by 30. You'll see a lot of people, a lot of people were talking about the FIRE movement, and I'm still a part of the FIRE community, but a lot of people will just try to save a bunch of money and then they live off of 3 or 4%. I didn't go that route. I built up income through real estate, through online side hustles, through businesses, by joining the military, and then geo arbitraging, and that allowed, basically it was a culmination of these things that allowed me to retire, accidentally. Like I said, wasn't the plan until it ended up happening. So yeah, retirement doesn't mean not working. I'm still, it just gives you the freedom to do what you truly want. Every day I get to spend with you guys. I get to wake up in the morning and be with you for breakfast. I get to spend time with your mom. I get to trade, and learning how to trade, and growing my wealth, making videos like this, working out, not feeling pressure, not feeling like I'm being programmed to just keep on getting more. It really is a big relief, and especially right now, with the markets are going really crazy with Trump tariffs and all this stuff. And I feel bad because a lot of people who just believe oh, I just need to save a bunch of money. If I save 1.4 million and then I can live off the 4%, I'll be fine. But then the market drops 20%, and you're just people are I thought I needed this more, but now I need to keep working for longer. So if you can be in control of your finances by making these decisions right now, with me actively trading, that's me being in control of when the money's in and out of the market, and it gives a lot more security. So you want to be able to create security through joining the military, getting real estate, building skills, starting online businesses, side hustles. Branch just fell on me. It's getting windy here, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. I hope that you're able to do exactly what you want to do with your life, and just know that it's okay if you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do or how you're going to get there. Just follow what feels right. Don't do things I didn't want to keep working a job if it didn't feel right. Didn't want to keep doing IT. Didn't want to stay in the military because it just didn't feel right. Didn't want to keep my top secret clearance even though I was guaranteed a 6-figure salary. It just didn't feel right, and I knew that I'd be lying to myself. I'd be being dishonest if I kept doing that. Or even pursuing a business and doing a business when it doesn't feel right anymore. Don't do things that don't feel right with you. Do what feels right. Right now in my life, this is what feels right. Making these videos without any expectations, learning how to trade, just being with you guys. Fingers crossed we end up in Japan. By the time that you guys see this videos, maybe we'll be there. And so hope this video helps.